Good evening, folks that are just joining us. We've just opened up the meeting and everybody's getting onto their Zoom connections. We'll just give it a moment here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started here, folks. Thank you for joining us tonight for the CPSA Town Hall meeting. I'm Mike Lasher, the Director of CPSA, and co-facilitating today is Scott Cohen with Green Scene Landscaping and Swimming Pools. He's the chairman of CPSA. As I'm sure many of Hi, folks. I'm sure as many of you are, some of us are genuinely concerned about our ability to continue building pools as cities enact stricter water conservation measures, which is primarily why we scheduled this town hall meeting. I'd like to make a couple of introductions. First off, we have our board of directors, and you'll see them on screen here. Rather than take up time introducing them, I'm just flashing this up here. You might recognize some names, and several of them are joining us on the call tonight. I'd also like to introduce our presenters this evening. There we go. First up, I've mentioned Scott. We also have John Norwood, who's the managing partner with Norwood Associates. He is responsible for the CPSA government relations. Allison Pym, who's associate vice president with Vault Communications, and she is our public relations person steering up the drought campaign. So I have more to introduce on both of them when they get to their presentations.
Mike, I'd like to thank you for using my high school graduation picture for that.
You look good in there. Okay, so I'm up first, and just want to share something with you on the front end here. If you don't mind, I'd like to play a quick video for you. Okay, we have a lot of things to cover today, and just a couple of slides I wanted to share with you. If you take a look at the screen, some of you might have seen this in your mailbox. This is a postcard we sent out, and it's highlights the seriousness of the drought. If you haven't seen it, I believe we have some more that we are sending out over the summer. Just know that those are from us, and we're trying to give everybody the heads up about the drought. If you go to your local pool court branch, you'll see some of our flyers at some of their locations as well. If you see one, pick one up. So this is a drought map of what California looks like right now. Your brown is the worst of the worst. And John is going to talk a little bit about how this drought is different than the last and how we're affected. So I'm not going to get it, but I just wanted to show you the map of how serious the drought situation is. We have some resources we've developed. First one I'd like to showcase for you. And by the way, I'm going to be entering these links in the chat, so you'll be able to follow along and click on those, save them if you like. First one is our consumer website, Let's Pool Together, and that website is letspooltogether.com. And this is focused with messaging for consumers. We've got tips, we've got flyers for them to download. This is a full messaging about pools not being the water wasters that people think they are. Now, on top of that site, we also have an industry resources website. And if you visit the CPSA homepage at www.thecpsa.org, you'll see a pop-up at the bottom that says drought resources. When you click on it, it's going to jump to this page. Now, this isn't the actual page that I can scroll and show you, but on that page, you'll see links to several resources, which includes our drought resource kit, talking points, several things to arm you for fighting the good fight that we're fighting. And this is what we're all trying to avoid: pools being closed and not being able to build. Now, we do have a lot of material to cover tonight, and I know I'm getting long-winded here on the intro, but I'd like to mention a few things before we get too far along. The number one thing that you can do for the industry, or for our industry and for your business, is to join, become a member of CPSA and PHTA. Your dues dollars are important, but more crucial than that is that you belonging as a member that gives us some strength when we're talking with lawmakers and regulators, you know, when they understand the volume of builders and service professionals that we represent with our voice. It's a great time to join. We've created a special discount promotion. And again, I'm going to put that in the chat window so that you'll have that to join. And so the other thing that your membership gets you is a 25% discount on our educational programs, including the certifications like Genesis and so forth. And it includes a discount for attending the Pool Spa and Patio Expo. So on top
Mike,
of, yes.
Mike, thank you for that. I just want to interject one thing here, in that the purpose of this meeting, we're going to be focusing on the drought, because I don't know if pool builders are all aware of this or not, because it may not be affecting your community yet. But many of these communities have decided to vote as part of their water conservation to possibly shut down swimming pool permits altogether. Some communities have voted that that's what they're going to do. We have issues in Bell Canyon and Santa Monica and parts of Ventura County where they've already chosen to stop issuing pool permits, and then causing more restrictions on remodel pools. So this may not be affecting you yet, but it's coming down the pike. And every single day that goes by that it doesn't rain becomes a bigger issue for the pool industry. We have an absolute obligation as pool builders in California to get together and get behind this. And that's why we've got these presentations coming up. This is a very serious situation that we're all in right now. And we're talking about our businesses and the whole thing. So I'm sorry to interrupt there, Mike. Go ahead and take it.
No worries. So thank you, Scott. That's on top of joining, the other thing that we need, and this includes our current members, is we need adequate funding for this fight, for things like our government relations outreach, for things like our PR and communications firm who are doing all that they are doing for us. So it takes money to place these ads and messaging and to mobilize an advocacy army. So we also need whatever you can give for our Drought Defense Fund. There's a challenge that Scott Cohen's made for builders to match a $1,000 contribution that he's made. Either match it or beat it. If money's tight, we're counting on you to give what you can. If we lose this battle, it could be a while before any of us makes any money. The third part of this action is to get up, stand up, and speak up. And I have another short video clip I'd like to play, and this is an example of some things that you could say when you show up for a city council meeting.
Good evening, Mayor Engler and council members. I'm Scott Cohen. I'm vice chair of the California Pool and Spa Association. I'm also president of the Green Scene Landscaping and Pools. We build about 15 pools and landscapes per year here in Thousand Oaks. And joined here today by a dozen of my local pool builders. We're all concerned because we've heard some rumors about there being restrictions on swimming pool construction and new pools. And I'm here today because I'd like to dispel some of the misconceptions that we have on swimming pools. First off, pools are not water wasters. Swimming pools actually work as rain retention vessels. A first flush of rain, the first 4 inches of water, can be captured in a swimming pool. Compared with lawns, pools save about 12,000 gallons of water in the first year and 30,000 gallons of water each year thereafter. The pool and spa community, the construction industry of pools and spas, is really important to California's economy. We actually have 95,000 jobs that were created in 2020 and $5 billion in revenue. The new pools and spas that were filled in the last year accounted for less than 1% of most municipalities' water use, very little. Thousand Oaks actually lessened water consumption by increasing the quantity of swimming pools that were constructed annually. Here in Thousand Oaks, we built 77 pools in 2019. That's the total permits. 122 in 2020 and 178 pools last year in 2021. Each of those pools reduced about 1,200 square feet of irrigated area. So you have the swimming pool and the surrounding deck area, and these areas were irrigated before as lawns or landscapes, and they're now decking and pools. Now, a covered pool uses 90% less water than a lawn does. So we want to encourage people to use these pool covers. I know in all of our pools, every single one, we provide a bubble cover to reduce evaporation. I think we want to encourage homeowners to use that rather than put any thought of stopping new pool construction. With regards to new pool construction, in a new pool, it takes 4 to 6 months to build one. The amount of water you save by not watering it during that time is enough water to fill the pool. So net zero, right? In addition to pool covers, we do have an ANSI standard that talks about checking pools for leaks regularly and turning off your autofill so that you're hand watering to add water to a pool to compensate for any evaporation so that you're comfortable knowing how much water you're actually using. We'd just like your help to help save the pool industry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, we have Allison Pym. Just a quick introduction about Allison. Allison's with Vault Communications, and she's in charge of our successful PR campaign to fight the drought, Let's Pool Together. She works for Vault Communications, who's been hired by the PHTA and CPSA to move our marketing messages forward. Her strong background in municipal communications helped her amass a wide variety of experience in strategic planning, conceptualization, development, and implementation of marketing and communications tactics that serve her client roster of national utility companies and associations. Take it away, Allison.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I'm excited to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the drought campaign. I won't go into too much detail. I know that Scott and Mike have already covered some of what I'm going to talk about, but I'm excited to share with you guys what we're doing and how you can take advantage of all these resources that we have available. Let's see if I know how to advance these slides. All right, here we go. So obviously, I don't have to tell anyone in California that we're experiencing one of the most severe droughts in history. Climate change tells us that this is probably only going to get worse. And we've seen in the past that these drought emergencies have led to some discussions on the bans of restricting permits or the filling of new swimming pools. This was a campaign that started, I believe, in the 2014-2015 timeframe for the last drought. We relaunched it in early 2022 to get ahead of this current drought really as a way to get the proactive messaging out there that pools are not water wasters. So that's a little bit of background on it. I'm going to give you some of, an overview of what the campaign looks like as we move forward. There we go. We have three main goals here for the campaign. One is to increase the awareness both amongst consumers and legislators and the industry about the economic, social, and public health implications of the pool and hot tub industry in California. Two is to call attention to actual, practical, simple water conservation methods that really do have measurable results. And three is really to refute the narrative that pools and spas are water wasters. Scott went over some of those statistics. I know Mike went over some of those statistics. And so I won't, bore you with any more data, but really those are the three main goals of this campaign. We do this through a variety of program tactics, and I'll get into each of these in a little bit, but we already talked about Let's Pool Together. That's our website. It really started as a consumer website. It was relaunched in January, and it's sort of grown from there. So not only do we have consumer information on there, we now also have a lot of resources that are for consumers, but also for industry professionals. So that gets updated regularly with new articles, new blogs, new tools, media coverage. Right now we have a ton of tips, water conservation messaging, facts. It just continues to grow as needs arise. We also manage a Facebook page and a Twitter page on behalf of Let's Pool Together. That messaging is really focused on water conservation and sharing real facts about the use of water in swimming pools. So we're acknowledging that, the majority of our followers on these pages are going to be consumers. And really it's about getting the word out to them that they can rest assured that they're being responsible pool owners by using things like covers for their pools, covering their hot tubs when not in use, simple practical things that they could do around the house, but also acknowledging, that we might have a lot of people that are following our pages, especially on Twitter with our media relationships, that we have an opportunity to spread the word about, actual facts surrounding water use with these pools.
Can we get those links posted into the chat so that the group of pool builders that are online for this meeting can help support that campaign, forward it to their friends, post it on their site, share it, so that we get some muscle behind the efforts that you guys are putting together on our behalf.
Yes, absolutely. My last slide, I actually have links to that, and I don't want to mess up my scrolling here, but I'll drop those links into the chat for sure.
Thank you.
We also have content development going on at a regular rate. So that includes everything from, what we're putting out on social media, but also what we're putting out on the website. Any of these resources, this is just two of many, many resources we have available that you can access on the website. They're all designed to be co-branded with your logos. If you need source files, please reach out to us. We'll provide that. But really, this is an opportunity to arm you with all the tools you need to defend the industry. We also run digital paid campaigns, and that's on Facebook, Instagram stories, and Twitter. We did a 2-month content syndication campaign as well, all geared towards raising awareness and driving traffic back to the website. It's really supposed to be, our central clearinghouse where people can find all of the information that they need to prepare themselves to either speak at a public meeting, or to fight this battle. And then obviously we have public relations, which is our media relations strategy. It's getting that positive messaging out there. It's building relationships and partnerships in the community, and just really mobilizing people to help us, share this narrative. Mike, thank you. I see you dropping some links there. Okay, there we go. We've talked about Let's Pool Together a little bit. This is just a brief overview. We relaunched this in early 2022. This is, I said, we like to think of it as our central clearinghouse. It's packed full of statistics, facts, water conservation tips, resources. It continues to grow every day. Right now, we've booked over 32,000 users since January. Page views have exceeded 43,000 since we launched it. We're just really continuing to add resources regularly. We're in the middle of a potential expansion, which I'll get to in a little bit, but that's just some stats on the website as a whole. Now, I spoke a little bit about this. If you're on the homepage of the website and you scroll down to the fourth block, you'll see a link for resources. This is a very organized page of tools, such as what you see here on this page. So there's bill inserts, leave behinds, one pagers, there's door hangers, talking points, draft letters for city officials. There's pretty much everything that you can imagine you might need to defend the industry. So not only is it for consumers, and there's great resources that you can share with your customers, and include these in their bills, remind them of ways to conserve water. Uh-oh, I lost my. But also resources for you as well. So if you are going to be mobilized at a meeting and you want to speak on behalf of the industry, we provide everything you need. So there's every message, every talking point that you might need is in there. If there's something that you want you don't see, let us know, and we're happy to add that as well. That gets added to regularly, so we're constantly adding new resources there. All right, messaging. We spoke a bit about this. So really we're hinged on three main messages. One, pools and hot tubs are not water wasters. Two, the industry is critical to California's economy. And three, water conservation practices work. So I won't go into the details of those. I think Scott already did a good job of that. But really that's the premise of all of what our messaging really surrounds. So those are the three main points that we really try and make over and over. Any restrictions that someone places on the filling or constructing of new pools doesn't actually account for any measurable water savings, but it does, water conservation does. So that's really what we're focused on from a consumer lens. And then obviously, from the legislative or the industry side, we're focused on really explaining the public health, the economic and social implications of the pool industry. All right, for social and digital, I mentioned we do have an organic presence on Facebook and Twitter. We have dark ads that run on Instagram stories as well as those other two channels. And it's all with the idea of driving people back to the website. So we're targeting Californians. We have advanced audiences that we're targeting within California to really identify those who would be most interested. So pool owners and all sorts of different categories that leads people to for this to be important for our audiences. Our Facebook and Instagram campaigns have garnered more than 1.7 million impressions to date, reaching more than 700,000 people and driving 14,000 landing page views to the website. Our Twitter campaigns have earned more than 3.3 million impressions since the beginning of the year. And I'll add to that, Twitter is a challenge because of the spread of misinformation, I think, that we've all seen over the past couple of years. So they've really limited what we're able to share. And so to be able to reach 3.3 million impressions since January alone is really impressive. I also mentioned we ran content syndication campaigns in April and May, and that was timed with peak dry season and pool opening season. If you're not familiar with content syndication campaigns, that's if you're on whatever favorite news website you're on and you scroll to the bottom of the article you're reading, you'll see more articles, links at the bottom. That's what that is. So we're really able to amplify this message on a variety of websites that we wouldn't be able to access otherwise. And those have generated more than 11.5 million impressions and 18,000 clicks to letspooltogether.com. We also created a series of video PSAs, and we have more in the works. These were three preliminary videos that were done to share water conservation messaging and helpful tips. Those live on our website. You can share them as well. We've used them on social media. We share them with our media partners. And I'll speak to another partnership we have that we've also been able to utilize these as well. The idea is really easily digestible, important information that somebody can share and generate more eyeballs on. And then we also worked closely to develop a partnership with California's Save Our Water campaign. That's through the Department of Water Resources. And this has been, a long time coming, and we're excited that we finally released our joint press release in June. And this is a great tool to have in our back pocket because they have a lot of clout. They have a lot of attention. They're supported by the governor. So when they put something out there, it gets seen, which is fantastic. So it's a great partnership to have. We're really excited about it. They've linked to our information. They have our our toolkits and our resources and website on their website. So, they promote it on social. We have co-branded marketing opportunities. We're working on developing, some more pieces together. And I think it's going to be a long and fruitful relationship. They are in the business really of just sharing general water conservation messaging. So when we reached out to them, they recognized, how important it was to also add pools and hot tubs to that. So if you haven't seen that yet, I encourage you to take a look. We can drop the link to the Save Our Water partnership as well in the chat. But that's something we're really excited about. And then we have for the national expansion, this is something that has come up. We know that there are drought concerns across the Western United States, if not, the entire country. And so what we've noticed recently is that more and more states are getting interested in what we're doing. So it's not just California that's experiencing this. So the clip you see on the right here is a mock-up of what the potential website could look like with a national expansion. So the idea being that the main, website holds our drought, our generic, I'll call it, drought information. And then we have the regional economic impact drop-down menu. So right now we obviously have all of our stats for California, but this just goes to show that, what we're doing is really impactful and it's working and people are noticing and it's helping to change the tide of some things in water districts. So we're really excited about the opportunity to expand that to other states. So more to come on that. I think this is just a little bit of a teaser, but we're undergoing a modification right now. And of course, we need your help. So I'll leave this up here. I know that Mike was speaking to it before, and I think Scott's going to close with it as well. But really, the most important things are to get involved. So from my perspective, we need you to share the content. We need you to access the content. Please, help us promote this on your pages, on your website with your customers, among your colleagues. It's really just generating more awareness for the campaign and sharing and utilizing all of the tools and resources that we've put together for you. Obviously, we've talked about becoming a member, donating to the Drought Defense Fund, and then, of course, at a grassroots level, being on the ground, letting us know when you hear of things, when you need things, if there's any needs that arise or tools that you might find helpful, is really just bringing that to our attention, and we're here to help in any way that we can.
Allison, that was awesome, and thank you very much. I want to point out that the work that you're doing and with Vault, all this work behind the scenes, this Let's Pool Together, is one of the real benefits of being a California Pool and Spa Association member, right? Because all this activity is going on behind the scenes. You guys are making a difference. You're getting the message out, and it's a real benefit to me as a pool builder to be a member and to have this happening on my behalf. And that's, of course, what the CPSA is all about. And the more people we have, and the more members we have supporting that message, the more powerful that message becomes.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. Mike, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have John Norwood with Norwood Associates. Now, Mr. Norwood is one of California's top legislative advocates and managing partner of Norwood Associates, LLC. He's considered a leader in the state's insurance, financial services, and small business sector and represents a blue chip list of business, insurance, and financial clients. His career has spanned over more than 30 years in various capacities representing clients before the California legislature and regulatory agencies. During that time, Mr. Norwood is has been our chief lobbyist for the California Pool and Spa Association and helped us rack up legislative wins for about the last decade. And John, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mike, and appreciate everybody signing on this evening for this webinar. Allison, thank you for sharing the materials you've put together. They're extremely important, and actually, I'm going to tell you why. I saw some of those flyers previously said 85% of the state was in severe drought conditions. It's now 97% of the state. At this point, 3 years into this drought, we're in much worse shape than we were during the 2012-2016 drought. And that has really created a real and present danger to the future of building new swimming pools and spas. Unless we change public opinion, the opinion of elected officials, city council people, and public works directors. We did that in 2016 to 2012 to 2016 through increased membership, through the use of a defense campaign and PR, and through participation by industry participants in city council meetings throughout the state. We have all the arguments and all the facts on our side, but there is it's inherent in people's opinion. They see a large body of water and think pools waste water, and it's just the opposite, as you have heard. So we're really in that situation where if industry participants won't defend their livelihood, nobody's going to do it for us. So, where are we right now? Many people in our industry believe that restrictions on the ability to build new pools or use public water to fill new pools come from the governor or the legislature. It's simply not the case. The governor has issued an emergency proclamation to ask people to save 15% of water. The legislature has not done anything in this area. The Department of Water Resources, as indicated, we're in a campaign with them to save our water, and that gives us really good third-party credibility. And the state regional water board has issued direction to water suppliers to engage on their level 2 water contingency plans, but that's all so far. This fight really is at the local level. There are over 600 public water agencies in the state of California, 200 private agencies, 483 cities, and 58 counties. Each of those entities must develop an urban water management plan and an emergency water contingency plan that gets implemented in times of emergency. And that's where we are right now. Unfortunately, there is little standardization in those plans. Usually there's 4 to 6 stages or levels in those plans. And at each point in conservation, the city council or the water district has to vote an ordinance in or vote to go to a certain, to different levels of these plans. And that's where you come in. CPSA and PHTA spend a lot of money on a monitoring system. We monitor the agendas of 458 cities. Anytime there is an agenda item that has to do with water and pools, we get notified of that. We get sent the proposed ordinance and all the background materials. The downside of that is that these entities only have to put out that information 72 hours ahead of time. By the time it goes through our monitoring firm and it gets to us, we maybe have 48 hours, 24 hours to be able to respond. In every case, we put materials together, send it to every city council person, the city manager, or the water district, whatever the case may be. We also look at our membership and try to reach out to people in the industry to show up at those meetings to help us respond. The fortunate thing with COVID is that most of these meetings now are done over the internet, and you can get on by Zoom or by team meetings or whatever the case may be and testify. And the reason it's so important is that 2 things. One, when you sign up to testify, you only get 3 minutes, and you can't say very much in 3 minutes, believe me. So if we have multiple people there with 3-minute time frames, that extends the opportunity to weigh in. Secondly, city council members pay attention to businesses and people in their district. These are the people that you call to, address local issues, and they will pay attention. And what we have seen, and especially we saw during the 2012 through 16 drought, was when we had members show up, city councils often voted to not enforce whatever prohibitions they might have in their urban water management plans to restrict the filling of new pools. These plans are built over a period of time. Cities either do them themselves or they hire consultants. So they're very extensive and they can't just change them overnight, but they can vote not to implement certain stages. And, that's what we've seen happen time and time again. So far this year, we've engaged in about 35 communities. Fortunately, a number of those communities we engaged early. They were maybe implementing stage 1 or stage 2 of their conservation plan, and maybe we saw that they had restrictions on pools in stage 3 or 4, and we would engage with them, testify before their meetings, and ask them to reconsider those stages or those restrictions in the later stages of their plans. And this was just to try to get ahead of the curve. The others, in other situations where they're voting to implement a stage that does have a restriction, is where we really try to work to get grassroots participants there and involved in the program. As you can see, we have the materials. They're available, the speaker kits, the arguments are not difficult, and they work. I mean, it's that easy. People don't realize that the facts speak so well on our behalf. In addition, the fact that the Department of Water Resources has no restrictions on on filling pools, that even the largest water district in the state, Metropolitan Water District, only recommends covers, and in some cases requires covers. That gives us terrific third-party credibility when we make these arguments. Oftentimes, the city council members have no idea what's in these plans. The other thing that's very important is that if you've seen some of these plans, they are general in nature. They basically say restaurants can't serve water unless they're asked, or that hotels don't wash the towels and the linens unless requested, by the people that are staying there when they're staying in multiple days. The people can't wash their cars without a hose bib. Those kinds of things. None of those things target industries. None of those things cost people their jobs. Usually, the only restriction contained in any of these plans or any of these levels that aim at one industry are the restriction on filling new pools. And I think that's a very strong argument. We actually use less water annually than a single car wash in a community that recycles their water. In almost every community, you see the local car dealers with a power washer out 2 or 3 times a week, washing all their cars on the parking lot. None of that serves any particular interest. You can sell a dirty car. If you wash a car, it gets dirty in a couple of days. You shut down the pool and spa industry, you're shutting down a local business that pays good wages to their employees, to subcontractors, that buys the materials locally, that pays permit fees, that when the project's complete, increases the tax base of that community. And more importantly, it's once that pool's done, even in the same year that the pool's built, it saves about 10,000 gallons of water over the landscaping that the pool replaces. Thereafter, every year thereafter, it saves approximately 30,000 gallons of water. Even in the situation in some parts of LA where Metropolitan Water District has cut down the ability of people to irrigate their landscape to once a week, we complied there as well. If you take a 1,500 square foot pool project, only about 500 square feet of that is pool. The other 1,000 square feet that used to be irrigated, we take out of irrigation forever. So right there, we've kind of cut the water use by 1/3. And in a normal situation, you'd be, watering your landscape maybe 2 to 3 times a week. So again, we have all the arguments on our side, and what we need is the participation by the industry to become a member, to help fund our program, to show up at these meetings. And, there's nothing we can do about it. They're last minute when we get notice of them and we're able to reach out. But the one thing you could do that would give us notice, would allow us to get involved with these communities earlier, is take the initiative to call your city council person. You'll get connected to a staff person, but just tell the staff person that you have a business in that community, how long you've been there, et cetera, and that you want to know whether there are any restrictions on filling new pools in that community's urban water management plan or emergency water contingency plan. And if there are, get a copy of it, send it to us, then we can reach out to that city council, to that city manager, and discuss that early on before it's before a vote of the city council at 7:30 at night on a Monday night. And we haven't had the time to organize people to get there because we didn't get notice until Friday night or Saturday. So that's why it's so important that we have bodies and that we have more and more people. That's what happened in 2012 and 2016. The fund we put together for PR, lots of people contributed to it. We had, I think we spent $300,000 or $400,000, but in the state of California, that's nothing from an advertising budget. So we have to depend on earned media, on getting things out through Save Our Water campaign, through op-ed articles, through social media, whatever the case may be, but still that's expensive. So we need to have people contribute to that fund. We had people show up at meetings time and time again, and literally every time we had people show up at meetings, we won. And so that's the key. If you want to defend your industry, your livelihood, then we need your participation because frankly, nobody else will do it. You probably heard the saying, if you're not at the dinner, you're on the menu, or nobody's life, liberty, or property are safe while the legislature or city council are in session. That's very true. That's why there's thousands of interests in Sacramento that represent different kinds of professions to make sure that we stay in business and to educate. That's what we do, educate people about our industry and why it's so important. I encourage each of you to get involved with CPSA and help support the association and defend your own livelihood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
John. Thank you very much, John. I think the work that you are doing and have been doing for the California Pool and Spa Association over the years clearly is one of the greatest benefits we have being CPSA members is all this activity that's going on behind the scenes. I think one of my favorite facts that you've quoted in the past and that I want pool builders to be aware of really and remind their councilmen that every pool we build generates about $50,000 worth of purchases in that local community. We might be buying our equipment from the big three, but we're buying our sand and our gravel and our cinder block and our pipe and things like that from local suppliers. And so we're supporting that community. And I know Mike has a list of, I think what he calls drought busters, but guys that we know we can count on in any community. So if you'll forward your email, if you're interested in being involved in that, you can forward your email to Mike Lasher and let him know that you're interested in being part of that program. Then we have your name ready and your cell phone and all that in the event that John notifies us that in your community, they're going to be doing a vote or talking about drought restrictions on swimming pools. I would encourage you now to get involved with your local councilman and ask, hey, is there anything going on with this? If it's not affecting your community now, don't be an ostrich and stick your head in the sand and just ignore it. Get involved ahead of it because, as John said earlier, being ahead of it, and Allison too, by being ahead with the message, and being ahead of it with these communities early on in their discussions, we can stay them from going any further and talking about restrictions on our swimming pools, on our remodel work. Right now, a lot of communities don't want you to take more than a foot of water out of a pool or to remodel a pool unless you have an absolute crack in the pool. And these are the kinds of restrictions that some communities have already taken on and others are considering. This is urgent. It is urgent. And I would encourage you to get your subcontractors involved. Forward these emails, forward this information to all of your subs. The guys who dig your pools, the guys who do your shotcrete, the guys who do your plumbing, they're at just as great a risk, your plasterers, of losing a percentage of their business if these restrictions get tightened on us further and further. If you know how to do a rain dance, I think that would be a good idea too. That's our last resource, but anything we can do, some good thoughts in that direction would also be helpful. Look, as we mentioned in the beginning, the two most important things that you can do is first be a member of the California Pool and Spa Association and allow this good work to continue that's going on. There's a whole team of people at the CPSA and at the PHTA, right, where our parent is the Pool and Hot Tub Association, and their resources are available to us, and you become a member of the CPSA and the PHTA at the same time with just one membership fee. In addition to the things and the benefits that we talked about today and seeing the work that's going on behind the scenes to support us in California and our industry, you also get 25% off of education. You go to the International Pool Spa Patio Expo and you take some courses and Genesis courses and this type of thing, you're going to save 25% on those classes. We do have a promotion now with the CPSA through July 4th that you save 25% on your membership fees too. We've got to add some numbers, right? I'm the chairman of the board for this organization, and the only muscle that I have is to talk about how many people and how many members we have and what a strong community we are. And without your help, we don't have a strong community. We have a lot of pool builders doing their own thing and ignoring what's going on. And boy, you're going to be sad if you're one of those people that didn't get involved and you look back years later as I could have, should have, and saved it while I could. We do need you in your communities to be the eyes and ears of what's going on. John mentioned earlier, we don't always find out about these votes on drought restrictions until the very end, 24, 48 hours before they're happening. So if you're involved in it and if you're listening and if you're talking to your councilman, then you'll know in advance of when that might occur. You can notify us and we can work together to get a team of builders on the ground in that meeting, or at least in that Zoom meeting, to speak out on behalf of the industry, but how it affects the community, how to right their misconceptions about pools are not water wasters, and all the things that go about with pools versus lawns. The talking points we have are on our CPSA website, and they also link to the Let's Pool Together website. And that's all I have to say about today. I would encourage you guys, everybody, to pick 3 to 5 pool contractors that you know, forward these emails to them, forward them the links, get them involved, get your subs involved, and let's work together to gain more membership and have a louder voice with the lobbyists and with our industry in California. I can't imagine being in California and not having a swimming pool. My favorite place to be is ORWD. That's on raft with draft in my pool. We're now going to open up the meeting to your questions and comments. And please, any questions and comments you have, just put them in the chat box and we'll address them promptly.
Scott, if I could, as John Norwood again, if we can get early notice, we don't have to wait until the hearing. We can contact the city manager, and sit down with the city manager and the public works director, go through our facts, and hopefully get any restriction out before the level whatever it is even voted on. And, that's how we try to do it. And it'll be much more efficient that way. It's just, there is no way other than with the system we have to be able to follow the agendas of all these cities.
So I'm not seeing any questions, but I would like to ask a question to all of you, and you can do it in the comments if you want. But have any of you had any permits denied yet, or had any specific issues that you can make us aware of? Or we certainly want to know about it. That's ammo when we are talking to folks at city councils that we have real life examples of where this has occurred. It's not theoretical. These are permits that have been denied.
Well, Mike, as you know, we're already having a problem in Bell Canyon, which is an area that I service and build pools in. I have contracts actively going. I'm under permit review on a pool right now, and I have 2 that I'm designing. And they do officially have it shut down. But I know that you and I have been communicating with their office. We have a meeting set up next week to meet with them and see if we can't get that reversed. So we are seeing some issues already and jumping on them as soon as we see them.
I do see some questions here now. One of them is, how did you get the water agency on your side? Well, we sat down with them, had a meeting, and showed them all the numbers and all the resource material we had, and essentially they agreed. I think we determined in during the last drought, and it may be different now because numbers are increasing, but you could fill all the new pools in the state of California by the use of 65 acre-feet of water. That's about as much water that goes into Folsom Dam here in Sacramento during a storm from the American River in about 10 minutes. So, people that know water, and most of the water agencies, in fact, the Association of California Water Agencies, which is the association for those agencies, understand that pools are about a drop of water in the sea. So, again, the facts are on our side. I also see a question here about how we're doing with manufacturers. And of course, all the big manufacturers, Pentair, somebody bail me out here. Hayward,
Fluidra,
ASA, others, Pool Corp are all members and do a lot to support CPSA and PSTA. Let me see.
Allison, what resources do we have as pool builders to fight the neighbor that's next door giving you dirty looks because you're putting in a pool when their front lawn is dead? What do we have that we can put on the neighboring doors to kind of let people know before we even break ground, hey, we're not bad guys?
That's a great question, one that we actually just wrapped up. So we have 2 materials. One, is a door hanger. One is a flyer, like a leave behind. And both of them will alert your neighbors, hey, we see you watching us put in our pool, but here are the facts about it. And here's what we're doing to conserve water. Our pool's not the problem, but we're committed to saving water during this drought. Here's where you can find more information. So we actually do have those. They'll be up on the website shortly. So all of these are great suggestions. And if there's any more needs that arise, we're all ears as well.
So we can just download that from the site?
It's not up there yet.
Okay.
I think we just worked on finalizing it today, actually. So
excellent.
That should be up there momentarily. And then, everything would be able to be downloaded as well as co-branded. So there should be a spot on all of the materials that you can drop your logos in. That's the goal, is that you'd be able to co-brand with us. If you'd rather have source files, I know not everybody can access Illustrator files or whatever it might be. But if you need the source files, there's an email as well on the website. You can contact us. We'll send whatever we have your way and help you out with that.
Can we buy?
On that point, we had an issue with North Marin Water District. They could not rebut any of our arguments. What it came down to, their restriction was they just didn't want to respond to neighbors that were mad about one of their neighbors putting in a pool during a drought. I mean, that's what it came down to. And so we used, in the past, we've used door hangers and that kind of material, and it's been very successful.
Now, Allison, are these materials pre-printed and available to order, or they're digital files? We download them, we co-brown them, and then we just take them to the print shop.
Yep, these are digital files. Mike and anyone else at the team can speak to whether or not there are any that are printed, but right now I believe they're all digital files.
They're laid out so you can brand them for your own company. And so another thing on the manufacturers, we certainly appreciate your willingness to help, Paul. So I'll follow up with you offline. And if there are any of you others out there, feel free to call me. I'm going to put my phone number there. And we will be sending these links in an email follow-up to all of you that were pre-registered. If you weren't pre-registered, please email me. I will include you in the distribution.
Mike, do we have any further questions that are pending?
It does not appear so.
All right, it looks like we're going to be able to wrap this out on time. Thank you for joining us this evening, and for all of you in taking action. Thanks for doing your part to protect the pool industry. I'd like to tell you to have a great night. Please don't hesitate to contact any of us on the board if we can help you in your community. Good night.
All right.